And so the process is understanding like, hey, you have to grind. You are only going to reap what you sow. Nothing here will be handed out to you. And even when you feel like you're ready, there's going to be moments for you to demonstrate if you're ready or not. And that's what you're grinding for, is to take advantage of those moments, right? My moment was when my first moment was in the Marshall game, true freshman year. One of the guys, was cramping up. So I got put out there and I held my own, right? Pass deflection, I got a tackle, right? Third down punt, go back out there. And it was cool. I came to the sideline. He's like, you did good. Go back in. Prove my worth. If I go in there and give up a touchdown my first time, I'm probably not getting in the game.
Hello, everyone. This is author Tim Brown, the book, Uncommon Athletes Filled with Passion, Fueled by Purpose. And I'm blessed to have with me, both of us got on our Bobcats, OU gear. I had to put on my OU gear for this one. Blessed to have a young man, a proud graduate of Ohio University, football player, sports, management major, business major, and now working in the business world out in Seattle, Washington. How far is that from Lexington, your hometown?
Exact distance is 2,402 miles, 36 and a half hours. Yeah.
You come a long way, brother.
It is quite the journey. I drove out here with my mom and a good church member of mine. Doing stuff I've never really done before. Wow, but, got to see the country, through all the big winter storms last year. Yeah. And, trying to settle in here. Yeah. So
let's talk about how you, I know you played football in Lexington. Let's talk about your high school career. You had a great high school career. Let's talk about that high school career and how did you choose Ohio University?
So high school, I definitely was one of the under the radar players, simply because of the quality of football that Kentucky produces. Just stereotypically, it's not a football state. So we get looked over a lot, but the numbers that I was doing was bringing, slight attention in. How I ended up at Ohio was, going to my junior year, I had all the schools that, all the attention of the schools that I really wanted to go to. Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisville, Cincinnati, Western Kentucky were my top five. But going to my senior year, every single one of those schools' coaching staffs got fired.
Oh, wow.
And so I went back to the drawing board. And so I really started with, what majors I was interested in. And it was kinesiology was what I really wanted to go into early on. And I started there. And aside from that, it was really, what kind of atmosphere, what kind of environment would I be entering in, not only with just the school and the people of Athens, but the coaching staff, because I knew I was going to spend most of my time with the coaches and the players. Shout out to Coach Solis, shout out to Coach Ward. They came to my house multiple times. That meant a lot to me to just have like the head coach travel, just to come see me. A lot of the other coaches came and saw me well at school and whatnot. So I felt valued at OU. I felt like I was going to be able to earn respect and keep it based off my performance, and then definitely felt like I was going to get a good education based off of what I wanted to study. So it was kind of an easy choice for me. Once I hit the drawing board again and was starting to understand more of what my situation was looking like.
Yeah, that's good stuff there. Now you start out at OU and playing as a freshman, and then you get injured. Can you share about that injury? And really, what did you learn from that? How did you handle that adversity?
So first, my injury. So I've had actually 2 surgeries at Ohio, and they were back-to-back seasons. My first surgery, my true freshman year. So I got it in the spring, my true freshman year. I was fortunate enough to play my true freshman year, due to some injuries and whatnot. I was able to start some games here and there, and I, scored my first touchdown and was able to make a name for myself and the coaches. I earned the trust of the coaches. And so it was amazing, right? Going into that, getting ready to go into the season, but I was impaired by the surgery, right? And so I'm in my head trying to rush, the kind of rush the process, putting in more hours out of the day. I'm thinking, okay, they're saying, well, let's do, 8 hours. Let's do 8 hours a week of treatment. I'm thinking 60. I'm thinking 32 hours of treatment, right? Let's accelerate this process. But about my injury was a hip injury. And so I tore my hip labrum. There's a cartilage layer in between the socket of your femur and your pelvic bowl. And I completely shredded that to bits. So there's a bunch of inflammation in my leg. It was basically pretty useless. And as a DB, you need your hips.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah.
The worst thing I could have done was rush that and try to get back into it. And that led to my second surgery, which was a sports hernia surgery. So essentially I tore, all my abs and then my groin away from the point where they meet on my body. So I basically was useless at that point. There's no rotational movement that I could perform. So it's 2 years back to back that I'm having to deal with surgeries. Biggest issue for me, first surgery, was the amount of school that I missed due to my surgery. I had it done, but I went home to Lexington to recover, just because I was going to be immobile and there wasn't really anybody that can come to my dorm and take care of me or anything. So I just was at home for 2.5 weeks recovering because I couldn't walk. I wasn't supposed to walk, and all the other things surrounding your hips and that whole area just was difficult for me. So it was best to be at home. So my second surgery came around and I didn't allow myself to rush the process. The saying goes, trust the process, right? And starting to rely on others. I was relying too much on myself, believing one that, God's going to take care of me if I do my part. And that's true. But, like the saying, like the parable says, there's a man who was stranded in the sea. He was drowning, and a boat came by and asked the man, hey, do you need some help? And he's like, no, God will save me. Boat leaves. Another boat comes, says, hey, God, or do you need any help? And the guy's like, no, God will save me. The man drowns. He gets to heaven and says, God, why didn't you save me? He's like, I sent you 2 boats. Right. And that's kind of how I feel about my second surgery going into it. I didn't want to rush it. I had, Dak is my strength trainer. I had John Bowman and the whole athletic staff. I needed to use my resources where they were. I had James and Lindsay, the physical therapists. And I really just started picking their brains, and I really just allowed them to do their job to help me. And once I was done with that, both of those surgeries started to become minute. And then I saw my performance start to get better and better. I was able to get out of my head because I realized that this, trying to force something that I didn't necessarily have the most control of, and put it in the hands of people who have been placed in my life to take control of it. So I guess my biggest lesson that I learned from that is there are people. You can't get it through this world by yourself, right? You need people to help you get through the kinds of things, the struggles and the what's the word? I can't think of the word. The trials that you go through in life, that not all of them are meant to be finished, by yourself. The lesson you may learn might be on your own, but you are definitely going to have help along the way.
Wow. It's well said. I like how you said, not rush the process, but trust the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great analogy there. And I know you're a solid man of faith. Can you talk about how important your relationship is with the Lord in your life?
I mean, I can't really say that there's anything I do these days without consulting him, in terms of major things, right? I know that God gives us free will to, commit certain things within this world that he gave us, right? And I believe, we're to enjoy this world, right? You can't take anything that you've done, onto heaven, but that doesn't mean you can't enjoy this world. But what he's meant for you is meant for you. You couldn't have asked me 5 years ago in 2021 during the pandemic, what are you going to be doing? Driving across the country to move to a place that's foreign to me, right?
Right.
You could never have guessed that. But even here, being in one of the more expensive places in the nation, and I'm very particular about finances and how all that flows just for my plan for the future. But I'm still able to do these things. I have the jobs. I've been blessed to have the jobs that I have, and I've been able to be in a situation that, doesn't ask too much of me. I'm safe. I have everything that I need. And, I can't sit back and be like, I did that, right? I can't be like, oh, I chose this place. It literally just fell on my lap, and I can't say anything but God, right?
But God.
A lot of people think that luck or the universe is something that just kind of like naturally happens, and that's okay. But my universe is God. So I don't, I always consult, I ask him, hey, if this is your will, let it be done. And if it is not your will, help me be able to accept what it is that your will is for me.
Mm.
And that's how I walk this earth. I walk this earth like I'm the king of my own world,
Mm.
and I don't care about the king who thinks they're the king of this world, because I have the King of Kings on my side.
Mm.
So I walk with no fear. I walk through the shadow of the valley of death, for he's my rod and his staff, he comforts me, right? And I wholeheartedly believe that. So I don't fear change. I don't fear the uncomfortable. Um, I don't fear, the unknown, which is a huge thing for me. That's about what makes me the most anxious out of everything. I don't fear it, but because I'm always thinking about what's next in my life, that it gets the best of me. But, I sit back and understand that, hey, he's the lamp for my path, but the lamp only allows you to see so far. It's not going to show you everything in front of you, but you just take it step by step. And that's, I learned to have to be that way in college, because there's so much I thought that I could do. Like coming out of high school, I had really good grades. I had like a 4.8 GPA. I was like doing a whole bunch with sports. I was doing a whole bunch in school, being in student government, being, in the National Honor Society, being a tutor, being all sorts of things, homecoming king, prom king, all that stuff. And I'm thinking like, hey, I'm just that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then getting to school and having so much failure in areas that seemed like failure was impossible, really kind of had me looking like, who am I at this moment in time? Why am I here? What am I doing? And really just had me dive into understanding your purpose.
That's good. That's some great wisdom from a young man, and all that. Just speaking on that, just briefly, could you just share with the audience, what was that defining moment in your life? You realized that, hey, like you shared all those things that you were about, prom king, homecoming king, all these successes. What was that defining when you realized, hey, this thing ain't really about me, that I got to let go and let God?
So it's weird, because it's not a term that is usually thrown around with seriousness. This term is often watered down to, it's been desensitized. And I think it's odd that it is desensitized this day, but it was the first time I ever was depressed. And the depression, ironically, which, I mean, it makes sense just from the things that I've learned. But it was after a girl had left me for a guy who definitely wasn't anything close to who I was. Right. And, I'm pointing fingers at every situation that's away from me. And I started to just question, who am I? Like, why am I like this? And just understanding like, hey, I was this person, and now I've always seen myself as this person, but to the people around me, they don't see that. And why don't they see that I'm this person? Because you can read it in a newspaper. I have the pictures. I have the receipts, as they say, right? You can see this. It's been purchased, but no one was seeing this, right? And I was like, man, like I wasn't understanding, who I was. And then I started to really dive deep into prayer. And that's when I got deep into journaling, right? I did this exercise, which sounds silly, but it was incredibly difficult to do. But every day for a week, you start the morning by staring in the mirror for as long as you can. And then you write down, what do you see, right? And the first day I did it, I couldn't look at myself in the eyes. Right? I'm looking like all around, the mirror, but I would never lock eyes with myself. And so I repicked this up, a month later, and I tried to do it the full way through. And I ended up completing it to the point where I could, stare myself in the mirror, but not only that, but talk to myself, right? And just ask myself, who are you? Who do you want to be? What things do you have? What things do you desire? Your purpose changes as life goes on. I had to understand who I was before I could be able to fulfill my purpose. And I was always living off of what people were telling me who I was, right? Oh, like, dude, you're the man. You were, they were looking at the receipts and telling me these things, but I didn't feel that way because there's other people around me that are like, dude, you're the worst. Like, you guys, my friends, are like, I didn't like you at first. I thought you were the worst. Like, you were mean. You looked like you're arrogant. You came off this way and that and one another. But now we're the best of friends. And I had to sit back and be like, what is it the most important thing that I want people to know about me? And one, I want people to know, where I get my strength from. And I want to be able to exude the fact that, hey, I am a Christian. Hey, I am somebody who walks the walk and talks the talk. But two, I wanted to be somebody who was able to define myself the way that I wanted people to see me. So it was important that I did the things that I said I would. And so to this day, I wear a bracelet that says, because I said I would. And I'm a man of my word. The things that I say, I'm going to do. The things that I say, who I am that way.
How does this fit? You're talking about purpose earlier. Do you see this as the calling on your life, the purpose? What do you think God's doing with you now?
So before I got here, when I was in Lexington, my purpose was to be a student, to learn not only about what I was doing in the field I was in, but a student of life, a student of the wise, to just get a better understanding of, what life really is about. And it truly is a journey. And life is going to take you places that, one, are uncomfortable, two, you never would have thought you would be, and three, it's never going to take you someplace that you can't handle. And so learning those things, I got comfortable when he was like, the opportunity presents itself in Seattle. So now that I'm here, I'm still trying to reestablish what my purpose is, right? And, a cool story of moving out here is, I'm Black and I'm South Korean. I never heard or met anybody from my South Korean side. My dad hasn't met his biological Korean mother in years. And long story short, through the 23andMe thing, my sister did it because she wanted to help my dad find, his family. We did. And some of them actually live here in Seattle.
Wow.
So I got to meet my long lost cousins. And this is a really close cousin. This is my dad's first cousin, his mom's brother's kids.
Wow.
And so this is like my straight up, just like aunt and uncle, and they're a couple of kids that live out here. And, whether my purpose here was to bridge that gap, that's been fulfilled. And, my dad is, that much closer. He's meeting with his uncle, in Augusta, Georgia. So he can learn more about his mom since, all this stuff has happened. Is that my only purpose here? I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like my purpose in this world, I'm a servant. I help people. That's what I truly believe. And so, doing personal training and stuff on the side at Orange Theory, I'm there to help motivate. I'm there to help encourage, but I'm there to help people reach their goals in life. Because again, health is wealth. You can lose money, that's no big deal because you can get it again. You lose your health, that's serious, right? You might not come back. You might not be able to get back what you do if you lose your health. So it's very important for me to those people who are striving to reach those goals and keeping the health up, to help them do that. So I find a lot of fulfillment in, coaching and doing those kinds of things.
That's good. That's good. Well, this has been, I got so many gems from this. This has been great. Could you leave with some young athletes about that? I want to get back to that, the process, about trusting the process. So for some young athletes, could you leave a word for them on what that entails and trusting the process?
So trusting the process is being able to understand that your circumstances are temporary, that there will be a moment that you are going to be able to present, everything you worked for and demonstrate to the world your success, right? One of my favorite lines that Lil Wayne says is, real G's move in silence like lasagna. And I find that so interesting these days because you got a lot of people that play football for the gram. They got a lot, they're always putting their drills and all pictures, videos, and highlights. Like, you know what? That's cool. That's cute. Like, watch everybody see you do well, but then what do you do when you get out on the field? Are you winning or are you losing? Right? Is it your name that's being called out on the intercom for everyone to hear? Tackle by whoever, touchdown by whoever, first down by whoever, or you just there to look cute, right? And so the process is understanding like, hey, you have to grind. You are only going to reap what you sow. Nothing here will be handed out to you. And even when you feel like you're ready, there's going to be moments for you to demonstrate if you're ready or not. And that's what you're grinding for, is to take advantage of those moments, right? My moment was when my first moment was in the Marshall game, true freshman year. One of the guys, was cramping up. So I got put out there and I held my own, right? Pass deflection, I got a tackle, right? Third down punt, go back out there. And it was cool. I came to the sideline. He was like, you did good. Go back in. Prove my worth. If I go in there and give up a touchdown my first time, I'm probably not getting in the game at any point in the season, right? Same thing goes with my first touchdown. My first touchdown was against the University of Miami. We were down 21-0 right before halftime. We weren't doing too much of anything. Coach Haynes looked at me. He's like, all right, go out there. He's like, go get this kick return. He's like, you've been waiting all year. Like, let's see what you got. That was my first touchdown. Yeah. I scored. And he was like, oh, we've been missing out on this all season long. He's like, you know what? Hey, this is you. This is your job for here on out, right? And I've just been the return guy. I've proved my worth because those are things that I worked on. Those are things I grinded for, right? But it took all the way to the end of the season. It took all the way for someone to catch a cramp before me to have an opportunity to play. If I'm sitting there, on the bus thinking like, man, I'm just going to be on the sideline chilling, I probably won't even break a sweat, whatever. I had that mindset, not engaged in the game, not going back to, the things I trained for. I probably would have fumbled the bag, right? I still, I probably wouldn't have been, playing as a true freshman and had, the opportunities I had going forth. So, it goes to say trust in the process also goes into, constantly being prepared and constantly being ready. And you can't be ready if you're not prepared for the situation at hand. So for you young guys, there will always be an opportunity because injuries are inevitable, right? The moments when, things are going really good, things are going really bad, that's the time for the young guys to shine. And if you get out there and lay an egg, they're just going to look at you as you are. You're just a young guy, you're not ready. But you go out there and you make a name for yourself, you actually put in the work and you show it off. Hey, that's something to remember. You just want to be remembered, right? That's what's going to move you up on the depth chart.
That's a good encouraging word. This has been a great interview. I know when you called me about doing this, you said I'm ready, and I can tell you're definitely ready for this. And this is going to bless. I know this is going to bless a lot of people just hearing your story and part of your testimonies. So I want to thank you, fellow Bobcat, for jumping on with me. Yeah, and I'm looking forward to the great success and the great thing the guys has for you out there in Seattle. So thanks, guys, for jumping on.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. For all those who watched, don't forget to subscribe to Coach Tim Brown on the YouTube channel. And that way you can get these and other interviews every week. So thanks again. Be blessed.
Yes, sir. Take care. Peace and love.